जय गजानन। गणेशाय नमस्तुभ्यं हेरम्बाय एकदन्तिनि स्वानन्दवासिने तुभ्यं ब्रह्मणस्पतये नमः. With humble pranams to all Paramacharyas, Acharyas and Gurus, let us commence a study into the Jnyanasara, the essence of knowledge of the first part of Vinayaka Rahasyam, written by Vyasa. The first part, Jnyanasara of Vinayaka Rahasyam, is a conversation between the Parabrahma Guru, Ganakacharya, and the Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Probably this could even be Dattatreya, whom we know to be the human embodiment of an ansh of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. But being of the ancient times, it could probably all three of them in their individual capacity. The Trinity said, O Parabrahma Guru, Hamsa, you are the authority of all knowledge. Please tell us what is stated in the Omkar Khand at the beginning of the book on Brahma Jnana Sukhodayam, particularly those related to the well-known Vaishnavi hymns on Pancham. Pancham is addressed as Ganesha or invariably as Ganesha also. Now let us understand the use of the terminology Vaishnavi here. Not as devotees of Vishnu or Mahavishnu, exclusively addressed as Vaishnavites or Vaishnavas, but here the term is used as preceptors or dikshitas to conduct procedures of worship. You could even address it as Brahmanas who perform religious rites of yajnas, yagas, and are dikshitas of different levels, which we shall later study in the book. So when we say Vaishnavas, you can imagine them as Panditas or Vadyars or Shastris who perform the religious rites and have been initiated. So now Ganaka Rishi said, the first part of the four parts of Vinayaka Rahasyam, comprising the essence of Vaishnavi hymns, collected from 35,000 books, throwing light on the immortal knowledge of Ganesha, will be a great influence on the Ganapatyas. Ganapatyas are followers of Ganesha. The second volume, covers the glory of Bhakti. The third speaks of the importance of austerities for a Ganapatya. The fourth constitutes the Vaishnavi Samhita. Vishnu was given these instructions first at Vaikunta by Brahma himself. I heard, that is Ganaka Rishi saying, I heard these Vaishnava hymns from Hari at Vaikunta on earth. Seated on Sukhasan on the Shweta Deepa in the middle of Ksheerasagara along with Sridhar, Hari was narrating it to Lomansh, the first Muni who was listening with great respect. Lomansh was asking Vishnu, O Keshava, in the shining loka of gods where Gajanana lives in his divine body, what is the uniqueness of worship that happens there? I wish to be there in the abode amongst all those enjoyments. So, O Keshava, please tell me all about his countenance so that I can feel as though I am there. Vishnu replied, a Ganapata who performs the Panchayatana Puja with devotion attains oneness with Gananatha, which is with his grace. If you desire to enjoy what the gods in Brahma and other lokas enjoy at their palaces or want to enjoy living with them in their respective lokas, then you have to worship them with pure devotion. If you desire to experience enjoyments and other pleasures, you have to approach the abodes of devas in other lokas. There are also palaces of Shambhu, Shakti, and Surya with infinite variety of enjoyments for experiencing. One has to go to worship each deity to reach their abodes to enjoy the respective kinds of enjoyment available there. Earlier, I had worshipped Chintamani. That is, Vishnu is telling. At the entrance of Chintamani Dweep, along with Chambu, with great devotion in an effort to get instructions from Ganapa. Ganesha was stationed there for a Mahakalpa for the vision of the Supreme Lord Paramatma. It was after annihilation of Prakriti that he was able to attain the abode of Swananda. Swananda Loka is the abode of Ganesha. There in the Dweep, the best of Ganas were worshipping with great reverence and grandeur, whose glory is only known to a Ganapa or a Dvija. Dvija is another name of a twice born, it's twice born, that is a Brahmin. So Lomansh asks now, how was this invincible glory attainable for man? O teacher, please tell me the method by which I can attain it. Speak about that unseen glory so that devotees may have a glimpse about it. Keshava replied, Ganesha devotees include all Devas, man, Munis. The earliest Mahayogi to attain Siddhis was Ganesha. The five gods, other gods, and Siddhas like Mudgala, Purgu, and other Mahamunis. And they worship the Guru of Gurus, the most excellent of Ganapats, the first devotee. Ganaka was the first Guru. That great Guru had embodied the knowledge of Ganesh philosophy and given birth to Brahma Jnana Sukhodaya. Is that he composed the Brahma Jnana Sukhodaya. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh have taken instructions of Ganesh Tantra at the beginning of the Kalpa as well as at other times from the revered Ganapata. Shiva and others have four differences, namely the Vedic, Mishra Tantra, Pashanda, and Shuddha Tantra. There are five differences in the Ganapa Tantras as well. In former and present times, they were revealed as Mahavakyas, the great statements, with the intent to establish Advaita philosophy, the Advaita path. They were reassembled, reorganized at the end of Dwapara Yuga. The Vinayaka Rahasyam brings that Brahma Jnana Sukhodayam from Tapoloka to earth. Now, Rishis, Munis, particularly the Sapta Rishis and some Munis, they live in Tapoloka. And whenever the scriptures get destroyed on earth, they arrive in embodied form from Tapoloka on earth and they re-establish those scriptures that are lost. So, that this Vinayaka Rahasyam was brought. This Vinayaka Rahasyam, it contains that Mahavakyas which was brought from, which brought the Brahmajnana Sukhodayam from Tapoloka to earth. Brahmajnana Sukhodayam in its original version is not available on earth. But some portions are available in this Vinayaka Rahasyam which we are discussing. So it was brought from Tapoloka to earth to prepare people for austerities here. Grutsamad and other rishis took birth and gave some great gurus to people and students such as Shiva, Mudgal, Bhrugu and others who made him truly a guru's guru. What were Ganaka's leelas, his addresses and actions that we speak of him as the most excellent of Ganapas? Why do we call him as the most excellent of Ganapas? Even Brushundi, Mudgala and others were distinguished Ganapas whose glory was such that they were considered as the most excellent among Brahmins. Lomansh asks, Ganaka wrote Vinayaka Rahasya towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, which constitutes only a part of what he actually brought when he came from Tapoloka to earth. Oh Hari, on arriving itself, it became instantly famous. How was that so? Vasudeva, please enlighten me about it. Keshava, you heard the Vinayaka Rahasyam when it was told for the first time. Please tell me about its glory among devotees. Vishnu replied, Ganaka, who manifested from a part of Ganesha is the Turiya state of all the Panchadevas or five Ishwaras. So Ganaka manifested from a part ansh of Ganesha and was well versed in the knowledge of Brahma. It is said that it was from the Supreme Brahma that he got the vision of mantras as well. From then began the tradition of transmission of knowledge from teacher to the student through speaking and listening. This was the treasure derived from the penance of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Surya. Guru, Paramaguru, Paratpara Guru, and Parameshta Guru are all students of Ganaka. As a result, he was honored by Krutsamad as a foremost Muni who brought the knowledge of mantras from the Vedas to the earth. After bringing it here, he told the Vinayaka Rahasyam to yogis, which the devas and others listened with the same reverence when I had told them. This Vinayaka Rahasyam is a part which includes the five parts that adorn the 18,000 books on the subject. The first part contains the immortal knowledge. The second part speaks of the bliss of knowledge. The third part speaks of the essence of Leelas, which were the original seeds for the birth of the supreme knowledge, this knowledge of the supreme. The bliss of yoga of the Pancham included in the five parts is contained in Vinayaka Rahasya, which is a bestower of the knowledge of Brahma, whose first part gives the essence of knowledge. So the Jnyanasara is the first part. Then another person's there, Guru, he says, tell us please, O Ganaka, the immortal knowledge of the Supreme contained in this part of Vinayaka Rahasyam. This will be beneficial to all. Now, just try to imagine this sequence here. This is a dialogue between Ganaka and several other rishis, the people who were sitting in front of him, and he is narrating what he heard from Vishnu when he was speaking to Lomansh and others. Vishnu and Lomansh was the first conversation which Ganaka Rishi is narrating what he heard from Vishnu. And Vishnu had got this knowledge from Brahma. So Vishnu is narrating what Brahma told him and he is narrating it to Lomansh. Now Ganaka is narrating to these rishis who are sitting in front of him, of which Guru is one of them. And the Trinity had asked. Trinity here was the first person who had asked Ganaka to narrate about this Brahma Jnana Sukhodayam. So this Trinity would be Dattatreya. So Guru asked, tell us please, O Ganaka, the immortal knowledge of the Supreme contained in this part of the Vinayaka Rahasyam. This will be beneficial to all. So Ganaka says, Sadashiva was seated in Sukhasan enjoying himself on top of Mount Kailash amidst Subramanya and his huge army standing humbly looking at him respectfully. So now Ganaka is narrating from the conversation or from what he heard, what Shambhu was telling Subramanya, that is Karthikeya and his army who are seated in front of him. There, in that assembly, Shanmuka is asking Shiva, O Parameshwara, please tell me about the knowledge of Brahma that was spoken by Ganaka at the beginning of the Kalpas and absorbed by Vishnu, Brahma and others. So Karthikeya or Shanmuka is asking Shiva, please tell me that knowledge which was told by Ganaka, that knowledge of Brahma, which Ganaka was telling all of you, He was telling Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva at the beginning of the Kalpas and absorbed by Vishnu, Brahma and others. So Shiva says, listen, I'm now going to tell you the Brahma Jnana Sukhodayam, which is a part of the Vinayaka Rahasyam, a compilation of the knowledge of Ganesha. This book consists of 5 parts, bestows the knowledge of Brahma. Its 4th part describes Ganesha Diksha, that is initiation into the Ganapatya Parampara. The first part is very well known, even to the uninitiated. It contains the immortal knowledge, which I'm going to tell you first. Listen to it with reverence. This part gives the essence of knowledge as per Smritis. Later comes the essence of yoga, which I heard for the first time. Shiva continues, in the Manidvipa, located in the ocean of Sudha, where the jewel Chintamani is produced, there is a throne called Vindupit of Sri Chakraraja adorning the center. Very close on the left side of Kamaraja is Parambika, doing namaskar with folded hands before the most graceful Lalita Devi. The chief minister of Ganas is asking them in a loud, resonating voice to prostrate to Lalita, the bestower of desires. So, in that Manidvipa, where Chintamani jewels are produced, where Sri Chakraraja is seated along with Parambika, Lalita Devi, and the others in front of them, the Ganas, are bowing down to them. Hayagreeva is asking, O Bhuvaneshwari, you are greater than Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Before killing Bandasur, you meditated on your beloved Ganesha and your prayers were answered. That same Ganesha blessed Brahma and Shiva. Please tell us about that form confirmed by the Shastras. So Lalita, that is Bhuvaneshwari, another name, she says, the essence of knowledge, knowing which one attains siddhi of knowing. The siddhi of knowing itself, knowing his form, was narrated by Brahma to Uddalaka and other yogis. I heard it along with the devas with great earnestness. So see, this is another context where the same, what Lalita had heard, the same narration when Brahma was narrating to Uddalaka and others. So there Uddalaka was asking Brahma, O Pitamaha, O Jagannatha, O husband of Bharati, please tell us about the knowledge of Ganesha which bestows siddhis. Let us hear that knowledge from with your grace. So now Brahma is telling. So actually Ganaka is narrating all these contexts where the same thing, questions were asked by different people and the same thing was being narrated. So Brahma actually was telling now, the essence of knowledge is the subject matter of Shatopanishad, and Jnyanasara Upanishad is a reflection of that Shatopanishad. The philosophy contains the essence of knowledge of the 3 hearts of Ganesha, the bestower of knowledge. The right heart is superior to the left heart, and the heart of Siddhi Buddhi is spoken of as the 3rd heart. Now here, the words used are Hruday. So when we say Hruday, it would mean heart. But basically, it would mean enigma or the secret. A secret. So the secret. So that's how the right now. So we use the word heart here to know the essence, complete essence. So he says the first heart is of Dakshinamurti, about whom Mahesha spoke to me. Listen to that respectfully. On top of Kailash mountain surrounded by different Ganas, Lord Dakshinamurti was seated at the roots of a banyan tree. Sanaka and others, Narada, Shuka, all others stood there in humility, singing his praise by chanting the Rudra mantra after chanting the Atharvashirsh Stotra. So Sanaka was asking that Dakshinamurti, O Lord of this world, O Mahadeva, please tell us how this universe manifested from Brahma, the form of Brahma, and the correspondence with various gods. Please also tell us about Mahalakshmi and Saraswati who are stationed in the Chintamani Dweep, bowing before Vinayaka with devotion. So this is the first chapter wherein the whole stage is set for the conversation to happen. So Ganaka is narrating this to the Trinity, who's asking, tell me about this Vinayaka Rahasyam. So he says, Brahma had narrated first to Vishnu, and Vishnu had narrated that to Lomansh. And I heard when Vishnu was narrating to Lomansh, that I will tell you. Then Guru comes into the picture and he asks the same thing. So at that time he says that I heard this when Guru was when Uddalaka when Guru asks, he says Sadashiva. He repeats that again. Sadashiva was narrating it to Subramanya. Subramanya asked the same question. Please tell us about this Brahma, what he had told to Vishnu, Brahma, and others at the beginning of Kalpa. So Shiva says, I will narrate that same Brahma Jnana Sukhodaya to you. And Shiva tells what? I had heard it in Manidvipa when the Pita Chakraraja was seated and Parambika was seated next to him, and Hayagreeva had asked, O Bhuvaneshwari, tell me about that story of what Brahma, which was told to Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. And so Lalita or Bhuvaneshwari is telling this essence of this knowledge I shall tell you, which was narrated by Brahma to Uddalaka and other yogis, and I heard it with them, along with them. So Uddalaka, he says, he's asking that what Lalita narrates is that Uddalaka was asking Pitama, Brahma, please tell us about this knowledge of Ganesha. So Brahma was initially telling this knowledge of which is contained in the Shatopanishad. And the essence, that is Jnyanasara, is being narrated here. So this is the whole context. And of course, in Kailash also, this story is being narrated by Dakshinamurti to everyone, Sanaka and others, and all other Munis, Ganas who are seated in front of Mahadeva. He is telling this same knowledge, he is telling to that audience. So this is the entire stage. You can see the theater, different places, what was going on, and how Brahma had initially told each of these people, and they were narrating it to the respective groups who are sitting in front of them. This takes us to the second chapter where Shiva is saying, the yogis who had a vision of Brahma during moments of samadhi in the cave of their hearts remember him to be Satchit Ananda, that is truth, knowledge, and which is eternal. The attributeless Paramatma is like an image, and there is a reflection, and and he takes birth as the Atma in man. A Yogindra knows that the letter G and the letter J together form Gaja, which is the name for that attributeless form. That is that which is formless is Gaja. Vedas, which are an authority for conveying this meaning, also mention this Gaja to be Brahmanasapati, that is Lord of all Brahmas. And they say that this Brahmanasapati is Tad Pada Brahma. Now let us try to just take these words as it is. We'll understand what it stands for as we go into the text. So, Tad Pada Brahma. That is Tad. What is Tad? Now, this Tat is a part of the Mahavakya Tat Tvam Asi. Tat means that which is. So, that Brahma is Brahmanasapati, which is addressed as Gaja, which is attributeless or formless. Then Prakriti was born as Shakti, consisting of three gunas, that is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, or we can say this Prakriti was Maya or Shakti, and she manifested as Omkar with the capacity for self-ascent. Now the Supreme Brahma united within the form of Bindu, becoming the Brahma with attributes. So with these qualities, the Brahma, the Brahmanasapati, who wanted to know himself, created a reflection, and from that reflection was formed this Prakriti or Maya, Mahamaya, with the three gunas, and along with that reflection and the Prakriti, the three gunas, they became the Brahma with attributes. That means with combinations of various qualities, he had features, you can say, had characteristics. This was represented as the letter Om, as is mentioned in the Tapini Shrutis. This Omkara Brahma, which is the yogic form of Maya, assumed the first form of this universe, which includes various states like, now this Omkar Maya, it has different states like this Jagrat, this Jagat, this whole Jagat or this world, it assumes various states. We will look into each of them. The unmanifest that existed in the beginning got divided into 4 padas. But they were depleted of their endowments because they were ignorant. In the beginning, when it was from nothingness, from the attributeless, without any attributes, when it was formed, the first thing that comes out is ignorance. So ignorance, because of that ignorance which is manifested first, they don't have any knowledge. So the Supreme Swananda Brahma is addressed as the Asipada. We'll look into that, how things come out of ignorance, how things create out of ignorance, or that nothingness, which is shunyata, or the without attributes, any attributes. So this aspect is Asi, that is just simply beingness of Brahma. That is known as Swananda Brahma, which is totally untainted and above all dual natures. In the absence of all dualities, the self is in its own form. And in that form, it has a human body and an elephant's head. So there is that elephant's head, which is attributeless, is the nirguna form, and the human body is that of with gunas. So Gajanana is the name of this Asi form. The supreme attributeless Brahma called Gaja was the nature of consciousness. The upper portion called the Asi is considered superior form of Brahma, while the portion as a human form with attributes is considered inferior in nature, because it is derived from that supreme. This undivided form, the totality endowed with both qualities and without qualities, is attributed to that Supreme Brahma who is called Swananda. Although it is considered unattainable by the Shrutis, it is well known among tapasvis, that is those who perform years, lifetimes of penance, that Twampada is Brahma with attributes, while the attributeless form is a Tatpada Brahma. So the tapasvis through their meditation and in states of samadhi can understand that attributeless nature and the form with attributes of the total Parabrahma. And that asipada is a union of both of them, and that is what makes the statement tat tvam asi. So this just a cryptic short statement tat tvam asi is an expression of that totality of the Supreme Paramatma Brahma, who is also called Brahmanasapati or Swananda Brahma. So, total Omkar is the embodiment of that Brahma with attributes, whose form is the Bindu. That in Om, when we write that Bindu, the dot, that is from where the form with attributes of Brahma spring. So Tatpada is attributeless Brahma of the absolute reality, which is the Asipada. Brahma, who is a form of Tattvamasi, is the actual self of the Supreme Brahma, which Devas heard and remember as a self illuminating light within. So we have now so many books on books elucidating this Tattvamasi in several Vedas, Puranas, Itihasa. At several places, this concept is elucidated, and it also comes time and time again. But this was a simple cryptic statement which Ganesha gave to these Brahmas, Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Surya, and Ganesh, when at the beginning of creation. And everything else they got by meditating, simply meditating on this light of this statement, Tattvamasi. So Gajanana is verily the Paramatma living in the Jivatma as the Atma. He is well known as Ganesha, the supreme Brahma in all the three worlds. Formerly, he was differentiated as Om and Tat Sat in Tapini Shrutis. Thus, there are three descriptions of Ganesha as the supreme Brahma. The Atharva Shirsha, which we chant in several occasions, it mentions him as Tattvamasi, while the Vedas have established him with names of Ganapati. It has in the Suktas he is mentioned as Brahmanaspati, which the Paravedas refer to as Brahmanaspati. The name Brahmanaspati was famous even in the most ancient times, and that Ganapatam Brahma is truth, knowledge, and eternal, the Satchidananda. The secrets of the heart of Ganesha, which is said to be thrice the secrets of the intellect, and Ganeshwara makes them work successively by stationing them inside those secrets. So the self-knowing Supreme Brahma is the form of the Mahavakyam, which is Tattvamasi. It is possible to know the most excellent instrument, embodying that total pranava, Om, through visualization during meditation with a restrained mind, without allowing the mind to get distracted into external objects. As an embodiment of the form with attributes and without attributes, he is the form of the Mahavakya, which has been accepted by the Shrutis in relation to Prakriti and Purusha as well. So Prakriti is that aspects with attributes, and Purusha is the attributelessness, or we can say after it has manifested from that supreme, it becomes consciousness. It becomes the consciousness, which again, unless you get connected consciously, it is not possible to directly connect with that consciousness except through certain sadhana, through practice. Just as we can see Gananayaka in an idol, that is with attributes, so also the attributeless form of Ganesha is linked to Maya, So initially when Ganesha wanted to know himself, the urge to know himself was formed. Sense of knowing himself. How do we know himself? So you have to have something else to know the self. So when that urge came, he created a reflection of himself. So that reflection is Maya. And that Maya we try to visualize as an idol. For us as human beings, when we try to visualize that, we visualize it as an idol. So he is present in the idol as the husband of Siddhi and Buddhi for blessing his devotees and destroying evil or the wicked. This is the this is so at the beginning of creation, ignorance the place of ignorance is important because it is from that ignorance which is tamasic in nature that creation happened. So Shiva is explaining to Shanmuka and others. He's saying the primordial Prakriti in the unmanifest state is that eternal Maya as Bindu, completely at peace. Ignorance is bliss, right? So at peace, so she established her threefold qualities. From out of her self, she established the three qualities of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, those three gunas, as reflections of herself. So, standing in equanimity, devoid of any gunas, she is connected to Brahma with attributes as Bindu. So, this is mentioned in the Vedanta as the yogic form of Maya. With consciousness, the relation of Prakriti and Purusha is that of Maya or with attributes of the three gunas with consciousness. She has the form of total Omkar and is completely self sufficient. This is the glory worshipped of the Pancham state or the fifth state known as Gananayaka before creation. Before creation, this was the form of Omkar. And then from this Omkar came this expanded form of the world. So this Omkar, he is in that Omkar, he is in the form of the sound of and is the from where the source happens. Om. So from it begins and Pranava reaches the sound, which is the resonance, which is absolutely pure, sattvic in nature. The Supreme Being is reflected in Mahamaya as Ganesha. It is also known as Ganesha. When it's in the manifested state, it is known as Ganesha. By those who are well versed in Vedas and Vedanta, this sound of Om became, when we try to give a form to this, the head portion becomes Gaja, that is the elephant head, with the with the head of an elephant, in which the knowledge manifested. So from the unmanifest, when the knowledge manifested, it took a form, and that is known as Guneshwara, in whom the knowledge manifested and affected that pure Shuddha Sattva state. And as a result of that Shuddha Sattva state being affected, it creates the variable states, other states as well. Brahma's reflection from there was called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field, which had a predominance of tamas, from which everything else manifested. So the unmanifest state is composed of pure sattva, became the eyes of the world along with others enumerated by Shrutis. Now this is also known as Turiya state. The Turiya state, which is the cause for all creation and expansion. From Ganesha, it all manifested. The image of the word addressed as Gaja by the Vedas is said to have, this Guneshwara is said to have innumerable eyes, innumerable tongues, innumerable arms, and innumerable hair on his skin. And from each of those pores of the hair on his skin, crores of universes manifested. And these crores of universe manifested in his stomach. It is as though the macrocosm of the entire cosmos emerged from a single microcosmic egg. In the center of the head is Narayana's face, Shiva is to the right, and Brahma's face is to the left. And the whole being is seated in a lotus pose. So that is how the Trinity is formed. Because each of them have gunas. Shiva is Tamoguna, Vishnu is Sattoguna, and Brahma is Rajoguna. Those who say it has an elephant's form is from the macrocosmic angle, while those with a microcosmic vision of it as an individual say it has a human form. Those holding a dualistic view say it is Gajanana, who is Brahma in the Turiya state, endowed with these three qualities. So, three types of Ganapa Brahma were well known since ancient times. The Turiya Brahma, Karya Brahma, and Karana Brahma. The Turiya Brahma is the origin of Karana Brahma, that is the causal state, and while Karya Brahma does the work of Ganesha. Among the Ishwaras, now from this Brahma, totality of Brahma, 5 Ishwaras emerged. Or actually 4 Ishwaras emerged, namely Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti and Surya. And the unmanifest of each of these Ishwaras together becomes the Turiya Ishwara, which is Ganesha. On the desire of Ganesha along with Siddhi and Buddhi, the pure aspect Sattva-guna manifested as Maya in the form of Turiya Brahma, that is in Ganesha, and along with the 5 Ishwaras, she manifested as Vishnu, Shiva, Shakti, Surya and Ganeshwara. Crores of living beings were born from there. Those born from space had the tamasic quality. According to the wishes of the 5 Ishwaras, they expanded into the entire creation of animate and inanimate things. Everywhere in the world emerged, everything in this world emerged from that navel of Padma. Vasudeva is the one who sustains all creation. He is a nurturer, nourisher, maintenance. While Shankara is the annihilator or destroyer. And all of this creation is energized by Shakti, who is Prakriti or who has the 3 gunas, who is composed of the 3 gunas, and Surya or Bhaskara is the Atma in all. The sun, who is the Atma or the ego, the sense of I-ness, the egotism, the sense of I that you feel is that of Surya, which is in all of creation. So this is how the Supreme created this whole world. So she was continuing the narration. Listen with reverence. I am now going to tell you about knowledge. So far he told about ignorance. How ignorance had initially manifested. Now he is telling about how knowledge manifested in that creation. So the sound of Omkar is the Turiya state of Guneshwara. This great being, inspired by the elements created, he created the Vedas and others one after the other through his intellect in the form of sounds. The sounds from the mouth of this Guneshwara took shape in the form of Vedas. Intellect is a form of Omkar, then in the form of Omkar gave birth also to Gayatri Mantra, whose powers influenced the creation of the Gayatri Mantra, influenced the power of creation of the four limbs of Vedas. That is the four limbs or branches of Vedas, which are history, itihasa, Puranas, the different tantras, and mimamsas. So these four limbs were created through smritis, that is memory, remembrance, the laws of science, and the two types of mimamsas were expounded. The Yoga Shastras took birth and were then seriously classified as Vedas under the under four categories: the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. According to those well versed in Vedas, it is due to the strong influence of the supreme power beyond that knowledge burst forth as Upanishads and expanded from there. So the four limbs of Vedas, which expanded itself into Mimamsas, laws of justice, Puranas, and Dharma Shastras, it constituted 14 types of Vidyas or 14 types of knowledge. Ayurveda, the science of archery, and Vedas of the Gandharvas, known as Arthaveda, were the major ones. This made up the 18 types of knowledge as per the Smritis. Smritis, that is what you recollect from there. So, teaching grammar, meter, etymological interpretation of words, astrology, and rules became the 6 limbs of the Vedas for mankind. Udvija, Samaveda consists of 1,000 branches, while Yajurveda consists of 7,900 branches. Rigveda consists of 2,100 branches, whereas Atharvana Veda consists of 500 branches. The mantra Brahmanas have divided the Vedas into two parts. As the Brahmanas, that is the Brahmanas who chant the mantras from the Vedas, they have divided the Vedas into two portions. That is mantras which is chanted for the ancestors or the departed ones, and others as Vedic Upanishads. The Vedas and the Upanishads are considered superior and are by way of benedictory chantings. Every part of these branches constitutes one of the 6 faiths or 6 doctrines, totaling to 80,000 in all. Among Upanishads, Jnanopanishad was first told to Brahmins by the best of Munis, Ganaka Mahatma. 24 Upanishads out of 300 Upanishads that were classified by names came under the category of Yogopanishads. These Yogopanishads are the Jnana Marga, the knowledge, the path of knowledge. The essence of knowledge of Ganesha Nirguna Brahma was compiled into 108 names, which are accepted by Ganakas since ancient times. It was stated that Parashu, that Ganesha himself he is the Saguna form, in a Saguna form. It was, he had told it to King Varenya. Those 108 names was narrated. Again, Mudgala, the best of yogis, chanted that to the fully, which is available in the Purna Yoga on his path, the Purna Yoga, path of Purna Yoga Shanti in the Ganesh Gita. It is a path of giving up to Siddhi and Buddhi and is very effective. Siddhi and Buddhi told this path of Purna Yoga Shanti in ancient times to Surya, and Surya told it to Parashakti. Parashakti told it to Shiva, who in turn told it to Vishnu. Vishnu is said to have prayed by chanting the Trishati. Besides, Brahma instructed the Devas about Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, which they were to practice daily for fulfillment of various desires. They are characteristics of Brahman's glory. And for warding off impurities, for cleansing, for removal of all impurities from actions, from karmas, which result in both punya and papa, merits and sins. So these, in order to get purified, so as to attain Brahmanda, to attain Swargaloka, to be able to be in proximity with the object of your devotion, with your deities, you need sufficient merits. So for cleansing, these chantings from the various Upanishads and Vedas is necessary. So he was also speaking about the various types of hells, which is a result of bad karma or the fruits, the results of your bad karma. Yagnas done for your favorite deity is important for its form, while others based on Upanishads are for the purpose of enlightening about karmas. Rig Veda gives the rules of yajna for Brahma. Yajurveda speaks about yajna for Vishnu. Samaveda for Rudra, and the Smritis speak about Aham of the Turya state of Surya. So, respective Vedas, you have mantras for these different Ishwaras. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Brahma Jnana Sukhodaya, Shiva Rahasya, and Brahma Vidya Rahasya are the five itihasas that narrate the story of these five Ishwaras. Let me repeat that. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Brahma Jnana Sukhodaya, Shiva Rahasya, and Brahma Vidya Rahasya are the five itihasas, the five histories, or which contain the narration of the story of the five Ishwaras. The famous Mahabharata that contains about Naranarayana was written by Vyasa Badrayana. Ramayana was written by Maharishi Valmiki, and Ganakacharya Rishi is the author of Brahmajnana Sukhodaya. Hayagreeva is known for Jagisha, Shiva for Shiva Rahasya, and Vidya Rahasya is attributed to yogis Sanaka and others. Naranarayana are gods well known for having well known in the Bharata. Vishnu is the lord of Ramayana, while Shiva is the lord of Shiva Rahasya. Ganesha himself is the author of Brahma Jnana Sukhodaya, while Vidya Rahasya of gods was given by Siddhi Buddhi to Dineshwar. The one Purana was expanded into 100 crore hymns, and that Purana is known as Purana Samhita. This was divided into two and became well known. The portion pertaining to the beyond was known as Kalpa, and that for Apara was called Manu, which were the main ones that became well known. The whole composition, that is Purana Samhita, were divided into 18 main branches, of which the first 5 were hymns of Ganesha, Bhuvaneshiya, Sambhava, Shaiva, and Manu. The next 8 mentioned serially are of Durvasa, Yagnavalkya, Marich, Kapila, Sanat Kumara, Vasisht, Narada, and Varuna. The others were that of Angiras, Nandish, Narasimha, Aditya, and Mudgal. So these are the total 18 parts into which the Purana Samhita was divided into these 18 Puranas. The collection of hymns from Puranas were segregated into branches by yogis, forming a compilation of Kalpa Puranas, from Kalpa to Kalpa. You know, in a Mahakalpa, there are several Chaturyugas, 71 or 72 Chaturyugas. So in each of these Chaturyuga, and of this whole Mahakalpa, there is also 14 Manvantaras. And in each of these Manvantaras, there are Kalpas. So for each kalpa, there is a kalpa Purana. There are also characteristics of each of these kalpa periods. So where in some kalpas Shiva may be predominant, in some kalpa Vishnu may be predominant deity of worship, and some other Shakti may be predominantly worshipped, and so on. So each kalpa had its own unique features. So we have kalpa Puranas as well. At the beginning of Kalpa, during the reign of Padmaja, that is Padmaja is the one who was born from the lotus of Vishnu, that is Brahma. In the ancient times, Bhrigu Muni composed verses keeping in mind the Vedic branch. During the Vyasa Manvantara, a lot of research was done and 4 pillars were created. Everything prevailing earlier was re-established on earth. The main doctrines were Brahma, Padma, Bhagavat, Vayavya, Vaishnava, Bhavishya, Narada, and Markandeya. The Puranas consisted of Agneya Purana, Brahma Vaivarta, Linga Purana, Varaha Purana, Skanda Purana, Matsya Purana, Kurma, Garuda, Vamana, and Brahmanda Puranas. These Puranas were arranged chronologically, means where now Agneya, fire was most important. Brahma Vaivarta, then Linga, Varaha, where each of these avatars where a particular deity has a predominant role to play in the universe, that was chronologically arranged, and this was the order of the chronology. Similarly, samhitas for ancestors, that is, when after we die, the souls go to the Pitraloka. So, for the ancestors also, we have samhitas, that is, verses which contain knowledge in Vedas and knowledge of the supreme doctrine. Knowledge related to ancestors, most important for man, known as Aparavidya or Aparaveda, was also learned. So these Brahmanas or these Vaishnavas who learn these Vedas in Gurukuls or in the proximity to Acharyas, they learn all these Aparaveda also for performing the rites for the deceased, those who die. And after death also we continue performing for the well-being of the ancestors in the Pitraloka. At the end of it, there is a mention that these are attributed to Vyasa and several other well-known Munis. At the end of each Purana, you will get the name of the person to whom it is attributed. That means who played a role in writing that Purana. The Vedas were divided into 2 limbs according to grouping of the main kalpas. So they were known as, then there were 2 main samhitas considered, the Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. The Purva Mimamsa consisted of 9 samhitas, while Uttara Mimamsa consisted of 6 Mahadarshanas. This includes Tarka Shastra, that is your debate, the dialogues or conversations, which was a separate samhita itself. The 4 Vedas had Upavedas, each of which had 2 samhitas. So the 9 branches were the main differentiators of the kalpas. This whole thing was formed as Dharma Shastras for both the samhitas. Each of the 18 branches had their own well-known personage. That is the main Acharya or the Rishi who is involved for each of the 18 branches. So the first 6 were Manu, Brahaspati, Daksha, Gautama, Yama, and Angira. Yogishwar, Pracheta, Shatatapa, Parashar, Samvarta, Shana, Shanka, Likita, and Atri. Vaishnava, Apastamba, and Harita. So, expounders of Dharma Shastras were Jabali, Nachiketa, Skanda, Lokakshi, and Kashyapa. Vyasa, Sanat Kumar, Shantanu, Janaka, Vyagra, Katyayan, Jatu, Karna, and Kapinjala. Bodhayan, Kana, Vishwamitra, Paitinasi, and Gobil were composers of Upasmritis, that is, appendage or additional extensions. This division into two was called the auspicious Vainayaki Tantra. So also was the Vaishnava and Shakta with several divisions. Saura Brahma and Kaumara occupied one position. Shaivas had 28 divisions according to experts. Kapila was the author of Samkhya philosophy. Patanjali was the author of yoga. Yajnavalkya and Mudgal were the first writers of Yoga Prabodhaka, that is, awakening of consciousness through yoga. The six darshanas became part of Jnana Yoga, while Patanjali's Yoga Shastra were part of Mimamsas. Sankhya, Patanjali, and Tantra Shastras were said to have become the 18 Mahavidyas without any doubt. 14 of them were attributed to the best of Munis, and Upavedas included in Vedas were of Brahmanas. Yoga Agamas is also called 16 Vidyas. Just as Pranava had its origin in Vinayaka, so also Yajurveda gave birth to Vaishnavas. Samaveda gave birth to Pashupatas or Shaivites. Rigveda gave birth to Sauras. Atharvana Veda gave birth to Shaktas. Savitras and Smartas are sects or faiths. The Vainayakas' god is Mahavakya Ganeshara. Vasudeva is deity of Vaishnavas. Parashiva is deity of Shaivites. Purusha stationed in the center of the Ravi galaxy or the Surya Mandala. Sauras is the god of Surya is the god of Sauras. Paramashakti or is god of Shaktas. And for the Pancha Devatas are so these Pancha Devatas, Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Surya, and Ganesh, are the deity of Smartas. Panchadevatas are deity of Smartas. Vinayaka was guru to Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Adishakti, and Dineshwara. Ganaka's guru was the well-known Guneshwara. Surya was guru to Prajapati, Shakti to king of gods, Shiva to Karthikeya, Vishnu to the lord of snakes, that is Sheshnag. Smarta's guru was Gurava, who was the Loka Devata after Brahma, who was the first Loka Devata. Vainayaki gurus were Kapila, Grutsamada, and Kashyapa. Dattatreya to Shuka, Vyasa from Brushundi, who taught to whom? Dattatreya was guru to Shuka. Vyasa from Brushundi, means Brushundi taught to Vyasa. Mudgal from Bhrugu. Marich, Gargya, and other munis learnt through hearing and teaching. Shaiva munis were Dadichi, Gautama, Kanva, Durvasa, and Kumbha Sambhava. That is your Agastya Muni. Vaishnavi Guru was Parashar, Saurya Guru was Yagnavalkya, Shakta Guru was Hayanana. That is Hayagreeva, that is your Hayagreeva, Vishnu with a horse face. Smarta Munis were Manu Vyasa who led the way. The followers of Vishnu where how do you distinguish between? So we have different worshippers who have their own exclusive deity of worship. So how do you distinguish? By the tilak you wear on the forehead. So the followers of Vishnu wear the tilak upright. Those of that is they wear either a single line or three lines. Those of Shiva wear tilak of three lines horizontally. The Shaktas have a circle. Sauryas, it's a semicircle and a tilak. The tilak, whether it is vertical, horizontal, circle, or semicircle, is generally worn according to the family tradition among the Smartas. The tilak worn by a Ganapath is white, indicative of auspiciousness. As per the Vedas, Ganesha's tilak was fragrant. There is materials with fragrance, fragrant flowers and leaves are used in the making of the sindoor. Fragrant Siddhi's tilak is circular, while Buddhi's tilak is a dot. A tilak of horizontal line with the dot within is considered Ganesha's favorite. The practice of application of tilak is an ancient tradition practiced by Siddhi Buddhi, creators of this world, whose witness is Gajanana. So, in a way, I have introduced a whole lot of literature that was available right from the beginning, which constitute the Jnana Marga, the path of knowledge. And ultimately, study and application through Yoga Marga will lead to Purna Yoga Shanti. We shall continue this in the next class. Jai Gajanan.